The morning on Zithera was tense. The air shimmered with energy as Princess Liara and Ethan prepared for what could be the final confrontation. Intelligence reports had confirmed that the enemy was massing forces for a full-scale assault on the outer territories, and the palace itself could be threatened if they failed. Liara's heart pounded, but she kept her focus. She had seen Ethan in action before and trusted him completely. If anyone could help protect their world, it was him. Ethan checked the equipment one last time, his movements precise and confident. "We have prepared as best we can," he said quietly. "The rest is up to strategy and reaction. We stay alert, act quickly, and protect the civilians and the palace." Liara nodded, feeling a mix of determination and admiration. "I trust you, Ethan. You have already proven yourself beyond words. I know we can succeed together." They moved to the observation platform overlooking the outer territories. The enemy forces were visible now, a sea of armored ships and drones moving in coordinated formations. The attackers had learned from previous skirmishes. Their formations were tighter, their tactics sharper. But Ethan was ready, using the drones and energy sensors. He quickly identified weaknesses in their strategy and began organizing countermeasures. Liara watched him closely, noting how naturally he adapted to the alien technology and environment. Every decision he made was calculated, precise, and effective. Her respect for him grew with every passing moment. This was no ordinary human. His courage, intelligence, and instinctive protective nature were remarkable. The first wave of enemy ships moved forward, firing energy pulses that lit up the sky. Ethan coordinated their defenses, activating shields and redirecting energy currents to block the attacks. Liara assisted, creating temporary barriers and manipulating the currents to confuse the attackers. Together, they formed a seamless team, each action complementing the other. Despite the intensity, Ethan remained calm. He placed himself between the most dangerous threats and Liara, ensuring her safety while simultaneously directing their defensive strategy. When an enemy ship broke through the barriers, Ethan leaped forward, using both skill and quick thinking to disable it before it could harm the platform. Liara's heart raced as she watched him, a mixture of awe and relief flooding her. The enemy, seeing their attempts fail, began to deploy a massive assault unit, a floating fortress with weapons capable of destroying entire platforms in seconds. Liara's eyes widened. "We cannot allow that fortress to reach the palace," she said urgently. Ethan studied the fortress carefully. "There is a weak point near the base of its main energy cannon. If I can reach it, I can disable the weapon before it fires. But I will need your help to protect me while I do it." Liara didn't hesitate. "I will shield you. We will do this together." They advanced toward the fortress, moving swiftly across floating platforms and bridges suspended over swirling energy currents. The enemy fired relentlessly, but Ethan's instincts and quick thinking allowed them to avoid damage. Liara manipulated the currents and created energy barriers, protecting them from both attacks and environmental hazards. Every movement was precise, their teamwork flawless. When they reached the base of the fortress, Ethan quickly analyzed the mechanisms controlling the energy cannon. "I can disable it," he said, his hands moving rapidly to dismantle critical components. Energy pulses struck nearby, but Liara's shields absorbed the blows. Within minutes, the cannon overloaded and shut down, leaving the enemy forces stunned. Liara exhaled in relief. "You did it," she said softly, awe in her voice. Ethan smiled faintly, exhausted but steady. "We did it, together." The enemy forces, now leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat. Ethan and Liara followed cautiously, ensuring they could not regroup. By the time the outer territories were secure, the danger had passed. Returning to the palace, Liara felt a sense of pride and gratitude. She knew she could rely on Ethan, not just for protection, but as a partner capable of facing any danger. The queen was waiting in the main hall, her expression stern but thoughtful. She had observed every report, every action, and she now understood the depth of Ethan's courage. "Princess Liara," the queen said, her voice steady, I have watched the human who stands beside you. His courage, loyalty, and instinctive skill have proven exceptional. I underestimated him before, but he has earned my respect." Liara stepped forward. "Mother, Ethan is more than a protector. He is brave, intelligent, and selfless. He has risked his life countless times to defend our people and this planet. I trust him completely." The Queen's gaze shifted to Ethan, her eyes assessing him with newfound respect. "Human, you have proven yourself in ways few could. You possess a courage and dedication that is rare in any world. Your actions have saved lives and protected this realm. You have my approval as the protector of my daughter and my people." Ethan bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will continue to serve, no matter the challenge." Liara watched the interaction, her heart swelling. The bond between them had been tested and proven under fire. And now even the Queen recognized the value of the human she had come to trust. She stepped closer to Ethan, placing a hand on his arm. "You have been my shield, my partner, and my courage," she said softly. "Who protects me so fiercely?" "I already know the answer." Ethan met her gaze steadily. "And who is that?" Liara smiled, her eyes shining with certainty. "You are." For the first time, Ethan felt the full weight of her words, not as praise, but as trust and acknowledgement. He understood that his role was not just to protect, but to be a companion in courage and a partner in facing whatever challenges lay ahead. He had come to Zythera as an outsider, a human in a world that did not fully understand his kind. Yet now, he stood as a defender, respected and trusted by the princess and the queen herself. In the days that followed, the palace and outer territories entered a period of stability. The enemy forces retreated further, willing to confront a defense coordinated by Princess Liara and Ethan. Patrols and sensors ensured the safety of the cities. And both humans and Zytherans saw Ethan as a symbol of bravery and loyalty. Liara and Ethan continued their patrols, strengthening bonds between humans and Zytherans. Every mission, every encounter, reinforced their partnership and deepened their trust. Liara realized that she could rely on Ethan in ways she had never imagined. His courage and quick thinking complemented her knowledge and strategic insight. Together, they were an unstoppable force, bridging to worlds with courage and mutual respect. One evening, as the green sun set over the floating platforms, Liara stood beside Ethan, watching the sky glow with soft light. "We have faced great dangers," she said quietly, "and yet we have endured. Your courage has made all the difference." Ethan placed a hand lightly on hers. "It is because I have someone worth protecting. That is what gives me strength. You, your people, this world, they are all worth every risk." Liara's heart swelled with gratitude and admiration. She had faced countless threats, seen many brave warriors, but none had moved her as Ethan had. His courage was instinctive, unwavering, and pure. He had become her protector in every sense, not just in battle, but in spirit. The Queen, observing from a distance, spoke softly to her advisors. "This human has proven that bravery and loyalty can transcend worlds. Perhaps humans are capable of far more than we have believed." Liara turned to Ethan, her eyes filled with determination and trust. "Who protects me so fiercely?" She whispered once more. Ethan met her gaze, his voice steady and calm. "I do, and I will continue to do so." Liara smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. She knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead with Ethan by her side, she could face them all. Together, they had bridged the gap between worlds, proven the strength of courage, and shown that trust and loyalty could unite even the most different beings. And in that moment, under the soft glow of Zythera's twin moons, Princess Liara and Ethan stood together, ready to face the future, whatever it might bring. Their bond, forged in danger and strengthened by trust, was unbreakable. Together, they had protected the realm, defended the innocent, and discovered the true meaning of courage. The people of Zythera would remember this day not for the battles fought, but for the courage, loyalty, and unity that had saved their world. And at the center of it all stood a human named Ethan, who had proven that bravery and protection know no boundaries. No matter the world or the species, Princess Liara, standing beside him, knew that she could always rely on him. And Ethan, looking out over the city and floating platforms, understood that protecting her was not just a duty, it was an honor, a purpose, and a bond that would last forever. Together, they had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. And together, they would continue to protect Zithra, their people, and each other, as partners, friends, and guardians of a world that had come to trust the courage of one extraordinary human. The palace corridors echoed softly under the footsteps of Princess Liara and Ethan. The halls were wide, built of shimmering crystal that reflected the pale green sunlight from outside. Servants and guards moved aside respectfully as they passed. Sensing the unusual presence of a human walking alongside the princess, Ethan could hardly believe his eyes. Everything about this world was different. Its technology, its beauty, and even the air seemed charged with energy. Yet, despite the wonders around him, he kept alert. He knew that beauty often hid danger, and his instincts told him that Zithra's outer threats were far from gone. Liara guided him to a private chamber in the palace, where her advisors often met in secrecy. Maps of the outer territories floated in mid-air, showing patrol routes, energy currents, and the areas considered most dangerous. "This is where the disturbances have been happening," Liara said, pointing to a section of the map where small red pulses blinked. "These readings have been increasing over the past few cycles. Something, or someone, is moving through the borders. But no patrol has been able to identify it clearly." Ethan studied the map carefully. "These pulses," he said, "they move fast. Whoever, or whatever it is, they know the terrain and the energy currents. They're not just attacking, they're scouting." Liara nodded. "Exactly. I suspect it may be a group planning something larger. Our scouts have failed to track them. That is why I need someone with a different way of thinking. Someone who can act quickly and unpredictably." She looked at Ethan intently. "That is why I asked you to come with me." Ethan hesitated. Humans rarely had the chance to influence events in distant worlds. Yet here he was, standing in a crystal palace with a princess who trusted him. "I'll do my best," he said. "But I don't even know your people fully. I might make mistakes." Liara smiled faintly. "Mistakes are part of learning. Courage and action are what matter most." The next few hours were spent preparing for a journey to the outer territories. Ethan was introduced to alien equipment, energy shields, communication devices, and small drones that could scout ahead. He quickly adapted, using his own knowledge of starship technology and engineering to improve their effectiveness. Liara observed him silently, impressed by how fast he learned and how naturally he understood the alien tools. Most people needed months, sometimes years, to reach this level of understanding. Ethan had done it in hours. As evening fell, the palace's outer lights glowed softly, casting long shadows across the corridors. Liara led Ethan to a smaller vehicle capable of gliding over Zithra's floating platforms. The mission was simple in words, but perilous in reality. Investigate the disturbances. Identify the threat, and if possible, prevent them from reaching populated areas. The air outside was crisp, carrying a faint hum from the planet's natural energy currents. Ethan's hands gripped the controls as they glided over jagged floating rocks and energy streams that twisted through the sky. "These currents are dangerous," he said, adjusting the vehicle's thrusters. "One wrong move, and we could be thrown off the platform completely." Liara nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "I have made this journey many times," she said, "but with you here, I feel safer. There is something in your presence, Ethan, something that makes me trust that we will succeed." Ethan glanced at her. "I trust you too, Princess. I don't know why exactly. I feel we're meant to face this together." Their journey took them to a section of the outer borders where energy currents twisted violently around jagged cliffs. Small clusters of alien scouts patrolled the area. But Ethan's instincts and quick thinking allowed them to navigate without being detected. At one point, a sudden energy surge almost threw their vehicle into a chasm. Ethan reacted instantly, adjusting the shields and thrusters in perfect coordination, saving both their lives. Lyra's eyes widened in admiration. "You are incredible," she whispered, once they had cleared the danger. Most beings would have panicked or been destroyed. Ethan shrugged, though a small smile tugged at his lips. "I just react. I don't think about fear. I focus on what I need to do." They continued deeper into the outer borders, following the red pulses that indicated unusual activity. Eventually, they reached a platform that had been attacked recently. Structures were damaged, and faint scorch marks lined the edges. Leora's expression grew serious. "This is where they have been testing their strength. Whoever did this is planning something bigger." Ethan knelt to inspect. Yes, a piece of alien machinery left behind by the attackers. Using a small tool from his belt, he carefully examined the device. "They are using energy manipulation," he said, "not just weapons. They are trying to control the currents to trap our patrols. If they succeed, no one will be able to stop them." Lyra's heart raced. This was worse than she had imagined. She realized that the danger to her people was more immediate than she had thought. "We need to warn the palace and prepare the defenses," she said, "but we must also track them. I will not allow them to harm anyone else." Ethan looked at her, his expression steady. "Then we do both. We warn and we act." "I will follow your lead, Princess." As they prepared to move, a sudden alert flashed on their vehicle's console. Hostile forces were approaching, faster than expected. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "They found us." Ethan didn't hesitate. Using the knowledge he had gained in ours, he activated a series of maneuvers that allowed their vehicle to slip between energy currents and avoid detection. The attackers fired pulses of energy, but Ethan calculated their trajectory and adjusted their shields at the perfect moment. Lyra could hardly believe it. He was protecting her with skill and instinct far beyond what most beings could manage. They reached a safe vantage point and watched as the attackers searched the platform below. Ethan pointed to their formation. "They are organized. They know what they want, but they lack the ability to predict quick moves. That is our advantage." Lyra nodded, feeling a sense of relief. With Ethan by her side, she felt confident they could handle any threat. Yet she also knew the danger was far from over. Whoever these attackers were, they were clever. And their ultimate goal remained unknown. As night fell over the floating platforms, Lyra and Ethan set up a temporary base to continue monitoring the area. Small drones flew silently above them, feeding real-time data into their systems. Ethan worked tirelessly, analyzing the patterns and predicting the attackers' next moves. Lyra watched him, realizing that this human was more than just a visitor. He was a protector. Someone who could face dangers without fear and act decisively to defend others. In the quiet moments, Lyra spoke softly. "Ethan, do you ever fear for your life?" Ethan looked at her, his eyes steady. "Of course I do. But fear does not stop me. It reminds me what is important. You, your people, and the mission. We all have things worth protecting. That is what drives me forward." Lyra's heart swelled. She had never heard anyone speak with such clarity and conviction. In all her years, she had faced countless threats, yet this human's bravery was different. It was instinctive, pure, and unwavering. She felt a bond forming. Something that went beyond trust or respect. It was a connection built on courage and loyalty. The next morning, they observed the attackers attempting to manipulate the energy currents again. Ethan devised a countermeasure, using a combination of alien technology and his own ingenuity. With precise timing, they disrupted the attackers' control, forcing them to retreat. Lyra could hardly contain her amazement. Without Ethan, this plan would have failed. The outer territories would have been vulnerable. As the attackers fled, Lyra turned to him. "You saved countless lives today. I do not know how to thank you." Ethan shook his head. "You don't need to thank me. I did what had to be done. That is all." Lyra smiled. "You are extraordinary, Ethan, more than I could have imagined." She paused, her expression thoughtful. "I feel safer with you here. There is something about your presence that makes me believe we can face any danger." Ethan met her gaze. quiet determination in his eyes. "I will protect you, princess. No matter what comes, I will not let harm reach you." Liara felt a warmth in her chest, a mix of admiration and trust. She had known courage in many forms, but this human's courage was different. It was quiet yet fierce, selfless yet strong. For the first time, she realized that humans might hold a power beyond what anyone had imagined, bravery born not from technology or strength alone, but from the heart. They spent the rest of the day preparing for further exploration, studying the attackers' movements and strengthening defenses. Every moment together deepened their understanding and trust. Liara realized that she could rely on Ethan in ways she had never relied on anyone before, and he in turn had come to respect the princess not just as a leader, but as someone whose courage and intelligence matched his own. As night fell again, Liara looked up at the stars, their pale light reflecting off her silver hair. She felt a quiet hope. With Ethan by her side, she believed that they could face the dangers ahead, protect their people, and perhaps change the way humans were seen across Scythera. Ethan, seated nearby, adjusted a small drone and glanced at her. "Whatever comes next," he said, "we face it together." Liara smiled softly. Together, she agreed, and in that moment, under the green sun's fading glow, the bond between princess and human protector grew stronger. The adventure had. The morning sun on Scythera cast a pale green glow across the floating platforms, illuminating the fragile balance between beauty and danger. Princess Liara stood at the edge of the highest platform in their observation zone, her silver hair glinting in the soft light. Beside her, Ethan adjusted the small drones they had deployed overnight, analyzing the movements of the hostile forces. The previous day's victory had given them hope, but both knew the attackers were clever and relentless. Lyra's eyes scanned the horizon, noting subtle changes in the energy currents. "They are preparing for something bigger," she said quietly. "Yesterday was only a test." Ethan nodded, his expression calm but focused. "I've tracked their formations and movements. They're organizing, probably aiming for a coordinated attack. If we don't act fast, they could strike the outer cities directly." Liara turned to him, feeling a mix of admiration and concern. "We need to warn the palace and strengthen defenses, but I also want to understand their plans." "I trust your judgment, Ethan. You have seen what most of my people cannot." Ethan glanced at the approaching energy pulses, then back at Liara. "Then we prepare to intercept them. We can't let them get close to the cities, but we also need to be smart. Direct confrontation might be dangerous. I have an idea." Over the next few hours, they set up a series of traps and decoys across the platforms. Ethan's human ingenuity combined with Scytheran technology created a network that could predict and counter the attackers' moves. Liara watched him work, amazed at how quickly he adapted to their tools and environment. He moved with precision, making decisions instinctively yet effectively as evening approached. The first wave of hostile forces appeared. Sleek ships and armored drones moved swiftly, attempting to navigate the energy currents that protected the platforms. Ethan and Liara were ready. Using their drones and sensors, they anticipated the enemy's paths and activated defensive measures. Energy barriers rose suddenly, blocking key routes. While decoys drew the attackers into traps, the battle began with a low hum of energy pulses, lighting the sky with flashes of blue and green. Ethan's quick thinking kept them ahead of the attackers at every turn. He directed the drones to flank the enemy, creating confusion and opening gaps for Liara to observe and report. Even the most experienced Scytheran soldiers would have struggled to manage such a complex situation. Yet Ethan seemed calm and collected at one point. A larger ship broke through the defenses and headed straight for Lyra's position. She felt her heart tighten, but Ethan reacted instantly. He launched a series of energy blasts from their mobile platform, creating a shield that forced the ship to change course. Then, with precise timing, he triggered a trap that immobilized the vessel, holding it suspended in midair. Liara could hardly believe her eyes. This human had saved her life again, without hesitation or fear. As the attackers regrouped, Ethan whispered to Liara, "We need to move forward. They are testing us, looking for weaknesses. If we don't act now, they will find one." Liara nodded. "Lead the way," she said. Together they advanced toward the enemy base. Moving through jagged platforms and narrow bridges that stretched over bottomless chasms, every step required careful calculation. One wrong move could send them plummeting into the swirling energy below. Yet Ethan's confidence and skill gave Liara courage. She felt safe beside him, knowing he would protect her no matter what happened. They reached a central platform, where the attackers had concentrated their forces. A group of alien warriors, heavily armed and armored, awaited them. The tension in the air was palpable. Liara took a deep breath, focusing on the strategy they had devised. Ethan moved forward, analyzing the enemy formations, his mind working faster than anyone could follow. The first wave of warriors advanced, and Ethan engaged them with a combination of agility and clever tactics. Using the terrain to his advantage, he dodged attacks and redirected energy pulses to create openings. Liara assisted, using her knowledge of the environment and her own abilities to manipulate energy currents. Creating distractions that allowed Ethan to strike effectively, the battle grew intense. Alien warriors attacked with relentless precision, yet Ethan's instincts and quick thinking kept them one step ahead. He protected Liara at every turn, placing himself between her and danger without hesitation. She realized, more clearly than ever, that this human was extraordinary. His bravery was instinctive, not born from duty alone, but from a genuine desire to protect and help others. As the fight continued, a massive energy cannon activated on the enemy platform, threatening to destroy the area completely. Lyra's eyes widened in alarm. Ethan assessed the situation quickly, spotting a weak point in the cannon's power source. "I can disable it," he shouted. "Cover me." Liara focused her energy, creating a protective barrier that shielded Ethan as he moved forward. He leaped across the platform, avoiding blasts and debris, and reached the cannon's core. With skillful hands and sharp instincts, he dismantled key components, causing the cannon to overload and shut down. The enemy forces faltered, stunned by the sudden loss of their weapon. Liara rushed to Ethan's side, her expression a mix of relief and admiration. "You've saved us both," she said softly. Ethan shrugged, a faint smile on his face. "I did what I had to do. You would have done the same for me." Liara shook her head. "No one else could have done this. Your courage? It is unlike anything I have ever seen." The enemy forces, now disorganized and leaderless, began to retreat. Ethan and Liara pursued them carefully, ensuring that they would not regroup. By the time the battle ended, the area was secure. Liara looked around at the floating platforms, many damaged but stable, and then at Ethan. She realized that without him, the outcome could have been disastrous. They returned to their temporary base, exhausted but victorious. Liara watched Ethan tending to minor injuries and checking equipment. "You have risked your life so many times," she said quietly. "You could have stayed safe." Ethan met her gaze, his expression calm. "Because some things are worth protecting. You, your people, and even this planet. They matter. I cannot stand by and do nothing when others are in danger." Liara felt a warmth in her chest, a deep respect and trust growing stronger with every word. She had faced countless threats, seen brave warriors and clever strategists, yet none had moved her like this human. His courage was steady, unwavering, and selfless. She realized that she was beginning to rely on him not just for protection, but as a partner in every sense. That night, as the green sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the floating platforms, Liara and Ethan reviewed the battle and their next steps. They knew the attackers would not give up easily. More waves could come, and the true threat was still unknown. Yet, despite the looming danger, Liara felt a sense of confidence she had never felt before. With Ethan by her side, she knew they could face whatever came, as they prepared for rest. Liara looked at Ethan and spoke softly, almost to herself. "Who protects me so fiercely?" "I think I already know the answer." Ethan glanced at her, curiosity in his eyes. "And who is that?" Liara smiled faintly. You are. Ethan's eyes widened slightly, surprised by the words. He had expected gratitude, praise, or even relief, but not this quiet, heartfelt acknowledgement. He felt a deep sense of purpose settle in his chest. This was more than a mission, more than survival. He was here for something far greater, to protect and support someone who had come to trust him completely. Over the next few cycles, Liara and Ethan continued their patrols and preparations. Every encounter, every challenge, reinforced the bond between them. Ethan's courage inspired the palace guards and advisors, who began to see humans in a new light. Liara observed him during training, noting how he instinctively protected the weaker members, how he adapted to alien technology with ease, and how his mind worked faster than anyone she had known, the Queen, from her private chambers. Watched the reports of Ethan's actions with a mixture of suspicion and admiration. She had always been cautious about humans, believing them unpredictable and reckless. Yet even she could not ignore the undeniable bravery and loyalty he displayed. One day, she spoke quietly to herself. Perhaps this human is different. Perhaps he is meant to be here. Liara sensed the change in her mother's attitude, but remained focused on the immediate task. The outer borders were still unstable, and the attackers could return at any moment. She and Ethan reviewed the enemy patterns, strategizing ways to prevent further incursions while minimizing risk to her people. During one quiet moment, Liara asked Ethan, "Have you ever faced such a world before?" Ethan shook his head. "No, every world is different, but the principle is the same: protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is what matters most." Liara smiled, feeling a deep sense of connection. "Then you understand why I trust you. You see what is truly important." Ethan nodded. "And I will continue to protect you, Princess, no matter what comes." That night, as the stars shone above Zithera, Liara stood on the edge of the platform, looking at the horizon. She felt a sense of peace she had not known before. Danger was still present, but she was not alone. Beside her, Ethan monitored the sensors, calm and vigilant. Together, they had faced the enemy and survived. Together, they would continue to protect their. The morning on Zythera was quiet, but the calm was deceptive. From the palace windows, Princess Liara observed the energy currents twisting across the floating platforms, and she sensed a tension in the air. The attacks they had faced so far were only the beginning. Someone, or something, was testing the outer borders with increasing aggression. And Liara knew it was only a matter of time before the real threat arrived. Beside her, Ethan checked the equipment they had set up overnight. His brow was furrowed, eyes sharp. Constantly scanning the sensors and displays, Liara approached him, placing a hand lightly on his shoulder. "The Queen will not be happy when she hears how much we are doing outside the palace," she said softly. Ethan glanced at her, a small smile appearing. "Then we better make sure our work is worth it. If we stop the attackers before they reach the cities, I think she will see the value." Liara nodded. "I hope so. She is cautious with humans, Ethan. She does not easily trust outsiders, even those who act bravely." Ethan turned serious, understanding the weight of her words. "I'll do everything I can to earn that trust. Not for her, but for you, Princess." As they prepared to leave for the outer territories, a sudden alert rang across their sensors. Hostile ships were approaching fast, more than they had seen before. Lyra's heart raced, but she forced herself to stay calm. "They have found us again," she said quietly. "We must be ready." Ethan adjusted their vehicle and readied the drones. "We know their patterns now," he said. "We can anticipate their moves, but they will try something unexpected. Be ready for anything." They moved swiftly through the platforms, navigating narrow bridges and dangerous currents with precision. The first wave of attackers arrived moments later, their ships cutting through the air with deadly accuracy. Ethan directed the drones and shields, creating barriers that redirected energy pulses and confused the enemy formations. Liara worked alongside him, using her knowledge of the currents to manipulate them, forcing gaps in the attackers' defenses. Despite the chaos, Ethan remained calm. He moved with instinctive precision, Positioning himself to intercept threats before they reached Liara, one alien ship broke through their defenses and headed straight for her. Without hesitation, Ethan leaped forward, activating a temporary energy shield to block the blast. The explosion rocked the platform, sending debris flying, but both emerged unscathed. Liara could hardly believe the courage and quick thinking he displayed as the battle continued. The attackers revealed a new weapon, a massive energy cannon mounted on a floating fortress. Its beams could destroy entire platforms in seconds. Lyra's eyes widened. "We cannot let it fire," she said urgently. Ethan studied the fortress from their vantage point. "There is a weak point near the base of the cannon. If I can reach it, I can disable the weapon before it fires. But I will need your help to cover me." Liara nodded without hesitation. "I will protect you. We will do this together." They moved toward the fortress, using the twisting currents to avoid detection. Ethan leaped across platforms and debris with skill and agility, his focus absolute. Liara manipulated energy currents, creating shields and barriers to block enemy sensors and attacks. Every step was dangerous, but their coordination was perfect. When they reached the base of the cannon, Ethan quickly examined the mechanisms. "I can disable it," he said, working rapidly with tools and improvisation. Energy pulses from the fortress threatened to strike him, but Lyra's shields protected him from harm. Within moments, the cannon's core destabilized, forcing the attackers to retreat. Liara exhaled deeply, her heart pounding. "You did it," she said, awe in her voice. Ethan smiled faintly, though exhaustion was evident. "We did it together." The attackers, disorganized and leaderless, began to retreat across the platforms. Ethan and Liara followed cautiously, ensuring they could not regroup. By the time the outer territories were secure, the danger had passed for the moment. Returning to the palace, Liara noticed the tension in her mother's eyes. The queen had received reports of Ethan's actions and had been watching closely. She approached cautiously, her regal presence commanding attention. "Princess Liara," she said, "I have been informed of your companion's actions. Humans are unpredictable, yet he has proven himself in ways I did not expect." Liara stood tall. "Mother, Ethan is not just a human. He is brave, intelligent, and loyal. He has risked his life to protect us, and he will continue to do so. I trust him completely." The queen studied Ethan carefully. "I have seen courage before, but his is different. It is instinctive and unwavering. It cannot be taught easily." She paused, then spoke softly, almost to herself. "Perhaps humans hold more than I realized." Ethan bowed slightly, showing respect. "Your Majesty, I am here to protect Princess Liara and her people. That is all I ask." The queen's gaze softened slightly, though caution remained. "We shall see, human. We shall see." Over the next cycles, Liara and Ethan continued their patrols and preparations. Every encounter with the remaining hostile forces tested their skills and coordination. Ethan's bravery and quick thinking repeatedly saved lives, earning the trust and respect of the palace guards and advisors. Liara observed him carefully, realizing that her bond with him had grown stronger than she could have imagined. She relied on him not just for protection, but for judgment, strategy, and courage. One evening, after another successful mission, Liara and Ethan rested on a high platform overlooking the city. The green sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows and painting the sky with soft hues. Liara turned to Ethan, her expression thoughtful. "Do you ever fear that this will all be too much?" Ethan shook his head. "Fear exists, of course, but it does not control me. I focus on what needs to be done, protecting those who cannot protect themselves. That gives me purpose." Liara smiled, feeling warmth and admiration. "Your purpose has saved countless lives. I don't know what I would have done without you." Ethan looked at her, meeting her gaze steadily. "And I will continue to protect you, Princess. No matter what comes, I will not let harm reach you." Liara felt a deep sense of trust and connection. She had known courage and loyalty before, but never like this. Ethan's courage was instinctive, pure, and unwavering. He had become her protector, not just in battle, but in heart and spirit. As night fell, stars sparkled above Zithera, reflecting off the floating platforms. Liara and Ethan planned for the next mission, studying patterns and preparing for future threats. Every step they took strengthened their partnership, their trust, and their bond. The queen watched quietly from her chambers, a mixture of caution and respect in her expression. She had underestimated the human before, but now she could not deny his value. Courage and loyalty could come from any world, and Ethan had proven that humans were capable of more than anyone had imagined. Liara spoke quietly to Ethan as they looked out over the city. "Who protects me so fiercely?" she said softly. Ethan glanced at her. "And who is that?" Liara smiled, her eyes shining with certainty. "You are?" Ethan felt a quiet pride, not in himself, but in the trust she placed in him. He understood that protecting someone was more than strength or skill. It was a commitment, a willingness to act without hesitation for the safety of others. And for Princess Liara, he would act always. Their bond, forged in danger and strengthened by trust, had grown unbreakable. And though the battles were far from over, both knew that together they could face any challenge that came to Zithera. The planet of Zithera shimmered under a pale green sun. Its vast cities stretched across floating platforms, connected by translucent bridges and humming with soft energy. The royal palace towered over everything, a crystal-like structure that seemed to float above the clouds. Princess Liara walked through its corridors, her long silver hair trailing behind her, eyes focused on the golden floor beneath her feet. Today was supposed to be a day of celebration, yet a feeling of unease weighed heavily on her chest. Something was wrong at the borders, beyond the city, where no one dared to venture. Her royal advisors had spoken of small disturbances, strange signals, unusual movements near the outer patrols. Most dismissed them as minor threats, but Lyra's instincts told her otherwise. Her people had always respected her intuition, and her mother, the queen, often relied on her insight to make decisions. Today, Liara was determined to understand the source of the disturbances herself. Outside the palace, scouts raced across the floating platforms. Their sleek ships cut through the air like silver arrows, moving with precision and urgency. One of the scouts returned with alarming news. "Princess Liara, a human ship has entered the forbidden sector. It is unidentified and moving rapidly." Liara froze. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. They were known for their resourcefulness, but rarely traveled so far without purpose. "Show me," she commanded, her voice steady, despite her racing heart. The scout guided her to a viewing chamber. Through the transparent wall, a small human vessel could be seen weaving between energy currents that protected the outer borders. It moved with skill and caution, but something about it felt reckless. Liora's eyes narrowed. The humans seemed to be alone. The council of advisors murmured among themselves. "Your Highness, this is dangerous," one of them said. "Humans are unpredictable. They should be removed immediately before they cause harm." Liara shook her head. "No, I want to see who this human is. There is something about their presence that feels different." Her words carried a quiet authority that silenced the room. Meanwhile, in the ship, Ethan worked furiously. His hands flew over controls he barely understood, trying to stabilize the vessel. His small team had been tasked with a simple exploration mission. But a miscalculation in the star map had thrown them far off course, straight into Zithera's guarded sector. The alarms blared, lights flashing red. He knew they had entered a dangerous area. Alien patrols could detect them at any moment, and he needed a plan. Before he could react further, a group of alien drones appeared, surrounding his ship. They emitted a low hum that vibrated through the hull, scanning every inch. Ethan's heart pounded. He had no weapons strong enough to fight them head-on. Then, remembering the emergency protocols, he activated the ship's cloaking system, blending into the energy currents around them, from the palace. Liara watched intently as the drones moved closer to the vessel. The human ship flickered, disappearing from view as if it had vanished into thin air. Her curiosity grew. This human was not only reckless, but also incredibly skilled. Most beings would have panicked. This one remained calm, calculating, and determined. Suddenly, a transmission reached her palace. It was faint and scrambled, but she could understand enough to hear a voice. "I am not here to cause harm. I am lost, but I can help if you'll let me." Liara's eyes widened. She had expected arrogance or fear, but instead there was confidence. Even more, the human spoke with respect, acknowledging the authority of this world without hesitation. She felt a strange pull toward this stranger. Meanwhile, Ethan's calm was tested. The energy currents shifted violently, threatening to pull his ship into a gravitational rift. He had to act fast. With precise maneuvers, he adjusted the ship's thrusters, narrowly avoiding disaster. A small explosion rocked the hull, but the ship remained intact. Back at the palace, Liara's mind raced. She decided to take a bold step. She would meet this human herself. Not the guards, not the council. She had seen the courage in this being already, and something told her that this was no ordinary human. She left the palace quietly, stepping into a small observation ship prepared for emergencies. As she soared toward the forbidden sector, the air seemed to hum with anticipation. The green sun reflected off her hair, making it shine like molten silver. Her thoughts were focused, yet her heart beat faster with every passing second. Ethan's ship finally landed on a small floating platform, damaged but secure. He stepped out cautiously, scanning the horizon for any threats. The alien drones had disappeared, but he knew they could return at any moment. He checked his equipment and realized he had only minutes before the energy currents shifted. Again, Liara's ship landed softly beside him. He froze, unsure if he was dreaming or facing some powerful alien being. She stepped out, her presence commanding yet serene. The sunlight glinted off her attire, a blend of elegance and strength. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. "I'm Ethan," he replied, bowing slightly out of respect. "I didn't mean to intrude. I'm lost and trying to find my way." Liara studied him carefully. There was honesty in his eyes, but also determination. He did not seem afraid, even though he was surrounded by unknown forces. "You're brave," she said softly. "Few would have survived this far, especially alone." Ethan glanced around, noticing the vast alien landscape. "I didn't survive alone," he said. "I had no choice but to keep moving. If I had stopped, I wouldn't be here." Liara nodded. She felt an unfamiliar warmth toward this human. She decided to test him further. "There's danger nearby," she said. "Hostile forces have been moving through the area. You must leave before they find you." Ethan shook his head. "I can't leave. I might have caused trouble, but I want to help. I want to make this right." Her eyebrows lifted. Such determination was rare, even among her people. She had faced countless skilled warriors, diplomats, and explorers, yet something about this human's resolve felt different. She decided to take a risk. "Then follow me. But know this: you will not be treated as an ordinary guest. You will have to prove yourself." They moved together across the platforms, avoiding dangerous energy fields. Liara watched Ethan carefully. His movements were quick, precise, and thoughtful. He adapted to the alien terrain faster than anyone she had seen before. She felt a spark of hope. Perhaps this human could be more than a visitor. Perhaps he could be an ally. Suddenly a shadow passed over them. A hostile patrol of alien raiders appeared, weapons drawn and scanning for intruders. Liara's heart raced, but Ethan remained calm. He analyzed the patrol and whispered, "We can distract them. I have an idea." Before Liara could respond, Ethan picked up a loose energy conduit and hurled it across the platform. It sparked violently, drawing the raiders' attention. With quick, calculated movements, they slipped past, unseen. Liara couldn't hide her astonishment. This human had saved them both without hesitation. After they reached a safe area, Liara turned to him. "You are remarkable," she said, almost in disbelief. "I have seen many brave beings, but your courage, it is different." Ethan shrugged. "I just do what I must. I don't think about bravery. I think about surviving and helping others." Liara smiled, a rare, soft expression crossing her face. She felt a bond forming, fragile but undeniable. "You may be far from your world, Ethan," she said, "but I believe you are meant to be here, at least for now. There is more to you than you know." Ethan looked at her, curiosity and caution mingling in his eyes. "I've never been called remarkable by a princess before," he said, a hint of humor in his voice. Liara laughed softly. "Few humans have reached my world. Even fewer have survived the journey. You are extraordinary, and I will see that you are treated with respect, but you must earn it as well." As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the floating platforms, Liara and Ethan continued toward the heart of the palace. Every step they took brought them closer, not just physically, but in trust and understanding. She realized that this human, despite his small size and alien origin, had something no one else had: an instinct to protect and a will to act without hesitation. In the distance, the queen watched from her private chamber. She sensed the presence of the human and the unusual bond forming between her daughter and this outsider. A frown crossed her face. Humans were unpredictable. They could bring strength, yes, but also chaos. She would watch closely. But for now, she allowed her daughter's curiosity to guide the way. Liara glanced at Ethan one last time before they entered the palace. "Tell me, Ethan," she said, "why do you risk yourself for strangers?" Ethan met her gaze. "Because some things are bigger than fear. Some things are worth protecting, no matter the cost." Lyra's heart stirred at his words. She had always believed in duty, honor, and loyalty, but she had never heard them expressed like this. Here was a human who lived them without question. A protector. Someone she could trust with her life. The palace doors opened before them, and the adventure of their unlikely partnership began. And as the green sun sank behind the floating mountains, Liara knew that she had found something precious: a human who could stand beside her, fearless and true.